that it is in a kerfuffle, right? Cars are getting more and more expensive and yet are depreciating faster and faster once they leave the lot. They're also being built crappier and crappier so that when you go to the dealership, you need a new engine after just a couple 100,000 miles. I mean, yeah, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. No one wants to buy a new car because they know it's just going to be reliable. Unreliable. Most of these cars are put together very cheaply, and when you have concerns about it, the car company won't help you. Even Toyota's having issues with that nowadays, especially with the GR Corollas, which means a lot of people are saying, screw it, I'm not going to buy a new car. If I'm the consumer and they won't listen to me, they're not getting my money. I'm going to buy something used, right? That's almost about... to my inner calculations, my estimate, about 50% of car buyers are just saying, screw it, I'm going to buy used. Just because the new cars, either they suck, they don't have what they want. Remember, thanks to mandates, the car companies aren't making what the buyer wants anymore. They're making what the government makes them make, which is EVs, which are too expensive, are not renewable, no matter what anyone says, and the average person just cannot afford an EV. I don't care how amazing they supposedly are for the environment. If I cannot afford it, I will not buy one. That is how the car industry works. You cannot make the car industry make cars that people don't want and then just give them money to make up for the lack in sales. No. People, consumers, drive the car industry. That's how it's been. That's how it always should be. If a car company does not make what the buyer wants, it should go bankrupt. That's exactly how it goes. You either adapt, right? You either run. If you sit down, you're going to get hit by the train. That's exactly how it goes. But a lot of people are still leery of buying a used car, right? What if it's cheap? What if it's crappy? And since so many people are buying used cars, there's slim pickings, right? You don't get your fresh pick of the very well taken care of cars, and a lot of times you see sketchy listings. The world of used cars may be leery to you, and also quality. You may want to be buying a new Civic. You look at the old Civic and it doesn't have Apple CarPlay. It doesn't have what you want. It's not new enough in tech features, and that may make you want to buy a new car more. Just say, hey, whatever, I'll pay for the cost of repairs. It's not worth, number one, filtering through millions of sketchy listings. Number two, maybe getting scammed. And number three, not having the features that I want in the first place. So we've seen a new revolution, right? This has been brewing for about 2 years now of people buying used Lexuses, right? I've made a video on that. If you want to watch it, great video. Of course, I would say that. It's just about people throwing in the towel and saying, I'm just going to buy a used Lexus, back when cars were made right. I'm talking 1990s to about 2005, 2006. But the reason why they do that, it's not because they're in love with the Lexus so much. It's because, well, number one, a lot of them are. It's because the Lexus has more features than the new cars do. And I don't mean what I like to call gimmicky features, like Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. I'm talking heated, cooled leather seats, good features. Like a modern day car, like a Honda, will not have heated seats, cloth seats, manual everything, and yet it'll have Apple CarPlay because it's a gimmicky, cheap feature that they can just slap in the car. That's easy, right? And that's not true luxuriousness, even if it has what you want. I would rather give up my Apple CarPlay like I did buying my Priuses and have a nice, comfortable leather, nice, comfortable, heated, cooled interior and have true luxury where the interior is put together more than just having a fancy, gibbly gadget, right? So again, let's say you're looking for a used car, and, Honda and Toyota, that's what you want to stick to. But, the used Lexuses, the prices are so high, and you just don't want to pay those prices, and you don't want to get a scalper to try and get you a Lexus LS that hasn't been maintained that well. And you don't want to go to Honda because, number one, a lot of those cars have been driven frequently, and it's hard to find a low mileage one. And number two, they often don't have the features you want, like heated seats, leather, because a lot of them are base models. So what are you to do if you can't afford a used Lexus and you don't want to buy a used Honda, something cheaper like a Civic or something? What do you do? Well, today I'm going to share with you the best Acuras to buy. Now, Acura is fun. Acura is different from Lexus in many different ways. The most prevalent, which you'll see if you look over their lineup, they focus more on sportness than luxury. The cars are nice. The interiors are great. But they do tend to focus more on how sporty is the car, how fun is it to drive. Unless where Lexus will be like, it drives beautifully, but it's a lanyard, Acura is more focused on performance. Lexus is more focused on luxury. So, first of all, I've got a little list here of about 7 Acuras that are, number one, I've checked their scores. They're one of the most reliable Acuras ever made. Number two, they're back in the time. In my opinion, the golden age for buying cars is between 2009 and 2016. That's where they were made the best, sold the most cars, which means you can get a good pickings for your used car, and have been maintained pretty well since then. They haven't been on the road for too long, like those older Lexuses, where you have to find a scalper to get one that doesn't have 1 million miles on it. Literally, I've seen listings with 1 million miles on it. So, these are Acuras. They're much cheaper than Lexuses just because they haven't got that same, mentality. Acura's more about performance, less about luxury, So, I've got a list of Lexuses here, which I am going to share with you that I think you should buy if you're looking for one. The first one is the Acura TSX and TSX Sport Wagon. I chose to do the Sport Wagon in this video just because I like it. First of all, like I said, with the wagon, you get extra space rather than the sedan and pretty comparable gas mileage. It's surprisingly affordable. You get great gas mileage and you can store more stuff in it because it's just a wagon. The interior is actually pretty great, featuring dual zone climate control on all models, leather seats on most models, and remember, a manual parking brake. This isn't no cheap dial, right, and a real shifter. And again, it also has plenty of storage. You sit pretty high up for this car. It's kind of like a sedan / SUV-like feel. And remember, look at how much space you have. These are great off-road. Well, not off-road. There's like a difference between off-road and on-roading, off-roading. So essentially, if you have a bunch of snow, this will be able to cut through that. Cut the cheese. You can see just how much ground clearance it has. It's actually high off the ground. It's actually a very nice model for ground clearance. It's not going to go off-roading. Again, the longer the vehicle, the worse it is for off-roading because you bottom out, right? If it's a short little stubby RAV4 2-door, then you're going to be fine. You're going to be crawling over all the rocks because it's smaller so it can adhere to that surface better. Long wagons suck for off-roading no matter how high they are just because they're so long. So this is going to be bad for off-roading, but it's going to be great in the snow. Again, remember, you may see people with trucks when it snows, especially in my area, in Florida, just because everyone buys trucks, remember, in Florida, and it snows like once a year, but sometimes it gets really bad, and when it does get really bad, people put sandbags in the back of their trucks to get that weight, to keep the tires on the ground. The less heavy your vehicle is, the less it's cemented to the road. And pickup trucks with just that, especially the older ones with that flimsy metal tiny little back on it, can't really hold the car down when you're trying to beat the snow, per se. These heavy wagons are fantastic. They're glued to the road. Again, they feel very sturdy when you're driving them. It's not all rattly. I love the Civic, but I will say when you drive it, it feels very light. And it doesn't feel as, like a brick house. This feels like a brick house. A lot of Honda SUVs are built that way. This one is built that way too. So I've got a listing here. This is the Acura TSX. Now, it's TSX or TSX Sport Wagon. Like I said, I chose the TSX Sport Wagon just because I like wagons. We can see it has like a throwback to the older, with the design of the Odysseys, with that light back there. Just a very nice design element. It actually looks nice, and considering how old this car is, 2012, that's 12 years ago. Also, remember, a lot of people, when they look at used cars, they say, 2012, oh, that's so old, I don't want a car that old. Remember, every single year newer your car is, that's another year less you're going to get out of it. Just because these were built so well. Again, this one only has 92,000 miles. I think 300,000's in the book for this one, maybe another 200,000 when you buy it, get out of it. Great. We can just see silver door handles, fog lights. It's an Acura. What do you expect? Then, of course, you have your black leather interior with your navigation screen up there. Very nice. And rear view camera. Dual zone climate control, heated seats. Again, you can have a brand new Honda Civic with Apple CarPlay, and that's it. That's the only real feature. But something like this with leather, heated seats, automatic driver's seat, and I believe passenger seat, that true luxurious interior where you can lean back in your seat and kick the dashboard and it's just going to withstand and, just withstand your kicks and just be fine. Unlike, other brands, especially cheaper Hondas, where the clips fail, things start to crack and bubble. Acuras are made better. I wouldn't say they're made quite as well as Lexus. Again, they focus more on performance than luxuriousness. Don't get me wrong, these are perfectly good luxury cars. I'm just saying performance is more in the books when you're buying an Acura than for Lexus, right? So, yeah, I'm not saying they're not reliable. I'm just saying, I think Lexus is a little bit more reliable. They have a little bit better craftsmanship, but don't get me wrong, Acura is still an amazing vehicle to buy. Again, you just get so much space with the wagon than versus the sedan. And again, this makes a great family car just because the wheelbase is so long. You get great, foot room in the back for your passengers. Overall, just a pretty nice vehicle. So, the next car on our list is an ugly duckling. Now, I chose this one specifically because it was ugly. Now, if you don't know, the uglier the car, the cheaper the car. Yeah, so if you don't know, Acura had a really good thing going. And I believe about 2008, they had the Acura TL, which was this sporty, Accord-like, fun hatchback-y car, right? Just very interesting. People loved it. It was fun. So it came time for them to come up with a new generation, like Lexus. Remember the LS 400? They came up with the 460, but no, 430. I don't remember. Essentially, they were moving out of the 90s, and they had to refresh it for 2000, for 1999, and they needed to find something that would keep the brand of that specific car, the luxuriousness and the quality, and it took them a while to come up with an equal successor. This is an example of that gone wrong. The old TL was thin, it was stringy, right? It was fun. This one's more beefy. It's heavier. It has a gigantic big old beak in the front, which a lot of people didn't like, with tiny little stringy headlights that don't really feel proportionate. They also have this weird shape down here, which doesn't really make any sense. The grille is not where you'd expect it to be. It's separated in two off to the sides, which this element here doesn't really fit in with other things. And it just has so much annoying silver grille on the front. Yeah. This car was terrible. It didn't sell. It's like the new M series from BMW, the new M5. So heavy, so big, not a sports car anymore. This went from an easily tunable, good used first car or sports car, depending on what you wanted to use it for, and became your mom's sedan. Sales dropped and Acura kind of messed up. I mean, they even put the beak in the back. So that's why you should absolutely buy this car, because they're so cheap. I mean, think about it. This is a 2010 car, which means it's pretty new, with navigation, heated seats, leather, everything. And they're going for surprisingly cheap. Like this Acura TL right here, we can see $14,000. Remember, how Carvana goes, you can expect the average price. Remember, the price isn't really accurate on Carvana. I'm just using it so I can actually show you the car in great detail. That's all I use Carvana for. I would never buy a car from them. Their prices, imagine the average price for one of these is a quarter what their price is. So the average price for this would be about $9-10 grand, and then the cheapest price you'd probably find on Auto Tempest or something would be about half that, right? About half the actual listing price. That's how you use Carvana. If you see this price, just imagine that this is overpriced. The average listing, actual serious price would be about a quarter of that, and then the cheaper one, the cheapest one you could probably find on Auto Tempest doing your research would be about half that, right, for a decent vehicle. And then prices just keep going down and down from there. The more miles and the worse it is. So this is a white one in pretty good condition. Now we can see, again, it does have that annoying beak, but no one really liked these. They were more Accord-like and less sporty-like, leaning a little bit more into luxury and a little bit more into the driving feel and less the sportiness and, lightness of the old TL. Again, I really love their cream leather interiors. They were really great. Now, we can see there is some wear there. Acura used a lot of plastics that I didn't really like. Specifically on this model, they were just trying something new, like this. Essentially, this is just, awful chrome. This is my least favorite part about this car. It's on the front, it's on the back, it's on the logo, it's on the wheels. It's just this awful plastic. And again, remember, when you tap that, it feels so hollow. It's like building an entire house with just drywall. Nothing inside. If I knock on the room, you can hear it in the other room over because it's just a piece of drywall laying on its side. That's this. They feel so hollow, they feel awful, they fall off. But again, it's still an amazingly reliable, good car, right? Just because I don't personally like the the interior doesn't mean that it's not a good car. This is actually a very good, very nice, reliable car. And it's proven itself to be that over the years that it's actually been out. This generation was hated at first when it came out, and then it found a steady following once people found out it may not be sporty, but it's still a good, decent car. Now, again, this isn't my personal bias, me talking about hating this plastic. It actually does fall apart. Like, you can see the paint rubs, just these interiors, this Acura generation for the TL of interiors, were just kind of bad, kind of an afterthought, you know. But actually, this was a very, very nice and reliable car. I mean, for your first daily driver, your first car in general, you know, getting to school, this thing's perfect. Again, it's built a little bit heavier and more solid on the road. That's, again, another thing I really like about Acuras. When it came out, it seemed unfortunate for it to be bubbly and heavy and chunky. But the best part about this being overly chunky for its time, this is about the same about cars today, so you're going to be safer in an accident. You know, cars are now more bubbly and bigger with tiny little windows than ever, right? So this older design, which looked foreign back then, looks insanely normal now, and it just makes the car look more new than it actually is, right? And again, it'll hold up better in an accident because it is heavier. Like I said, there is some truth. You need to find a middle ground. Getting a lighter car can be better in an accident because there's less space for you to move around. A lot of the injuries in a car accident, there's internal and external injuries. The internal injuries are from you going 60, 40, 30 miles per hour to zero like that. All your organs smash up against your rib cage. Too graphic, but you get it. It's bad. A lot of the injuries, I've been in one car accident, I believe. No, 1.5. The other one was just a fender bender. The actual injuries that you get on the exterior are from broken glass, bumping things, you know, sliding off the airbag, hitting the gauge cluster, stuff like that. The smaller the car, the less that is to happen because you're more strapped in, right? Number one, modern cars have plenty of safety features, seat belts, airbags to keep you in your seat, so you don't really have to worry about that. And also, the smaller, the lighter the vehicle, the worse that internal damage is, because then you're not just only going to be stopped, you're going to be pushed in the opposite direction, which is absolutely awful. I mean, a lot of people die in car accidents with almost no exterior damage on a car crash like that just because their organs couldn't take the abuse of smashing up against another up the rib cage and then being pulled dramatically back when the other car forced it. So these heavier cars are amazing in accidents because they're heavy, which means they can fend off the other car. If it's a pickup truck, you're going to fare better. If it's a new sedan, you're going to fare better than if you were in a smaller, more weedy vehicle, right? So that's why these are great. I would totally buy the TL. Again, it's a good car, and I'm not saying I wouldn't buy it, but compared to the other cars on this list, this one's pretty okay. So the next one is the Acura SUVs. Now, I think they are very ugly, just because a lot of them are. Sorry, I have a creaky leather chair. Fake leather, of course. Come on, soda. Anyway, Acura SUVs are very ugly, just because they have so much surface area on the front that is covered with chrome. You know, the grille is bigger, the tiny little teeny headlights are smaller. Just makes it look like a bug. So I tried to find the least offensive model years for Acura SUVs. I'm sorry. They're just hideous. I never really liked them. The 2013 RDX is great. This is one of the only times when I would like the Acura SUV. Number one, because this is black, not chrome, which means it doesn't stand out, which means it makes it look more normal. The headlights are actually a little bit bigger than I expected them to be, and it's not just a solid, like, this is one big solid sheet of chrome, just chrome. This is separated, and it actually looks good. I think this is one of the times where the Acura Beak has actually looked nice. The 2013 RDX, I would buy this vehicle. It's just a very, very nice car. You know, the interiors are great. You can just see it here. Again, they did still use some of that plastic that I don't like. It tends to hold up better in these cars just because the placement, you know, like you trade off. The placement is everywhere in the interior. These cars, high use areas, you know, the glove box, the handles. That's why they rub. This is kind of up and out of the way. You don't touch that a lot. You usually just do the thing and rest your arm there. It's fine. So I've got a listing for one of these. Sorry, they're very fussy when listing cars, so it took me a while to find one on Carvana. So this is a white one. We can see nice Acura wheels. Again, I actually prefer the back of this one to the RAV4 at the time period. I actually thought the back of this car was very, very nice in design. The front was not offensive at all. You know, compared to a usual Acura SUV with the gigantic beak that looks like it's gonna, like, you see it behind you, you think it's some sort of prehistoric bird coming to take you back to its nest and feed you to its children. This one actually looks pretty normal for once. Congratulations, Acura. It only took you 24 years. Anyway, the interior is great. Now, again, you can see just exactly This is why I love Carvana, just because you can see things. I will say the proportions are weird. Honda's never really been good at ergonomics on the Acura models, because they think the more buttons, the more fancier it looks. So you have this big not touchscreen up there that you control down there. This could all be collapsed. Number one, by making it a touchscreen, all of this would be unnecessary. The climate controls, which you're definitely going to use more, are shoved off to the bottom uncomfortably, which means it's going to be hard to reach for them with the shifter and cups in the thing when it's there. You know, they've never been great with interior ergonomics, Acura. Definitely not bad. Again, we can see keeping it to a minimum. One thing that I do find weird, yeah, it's the difference in the door panels. I never really got that from Acura. They're very weird. Anyway, so yeah, it's just overall a very nice vehicle. We can see your chrome piece there. This one actually didn't wear out too well. I think they used a different material, because I've seen a lot of listings where these are in perfect condition. We, of course, have the heated seats. You know, everything, start, engine, stop, your red button. And again, compared to other SUVs, you just get so much room in the back. I mean, you can see all that legroom back there. The seats are nice and plushy. I actually like the rear seats more than the front seats, just because you have so much foam in the back seats. It's like you're sitting on a cloud. It's great. The floor mats are very durable. Again, you can see the dashboard on the TL and TSX, it's more laid back. This one's more, it's coming to greet you. You know, you don't have to go to its house. It's coming to you, right? It's not bad. I do think that this is a little weird. This like swoopiness with the vent looks like an afterthought. It's not bad. It's just Acura. You know, they did that crap. I'm sorry. That's just what they do. But yeah, it's not bad. And then of course you have your weird little screen for some reason. So, when you're using maps, not Google Maps, just the maps that come with it, it's an awful, terrible system. It feels advanced, but, you know, turning the knob and clicking enter and then turning, it's awful to input crap. It's just a bad system. And then all your radio controls, which do you use more? The navigation controls or the radio controls? The radio controls are shoved in here like an afterthought, very hard to read. Acura has no idea. I'm sorry, yeah. Anyway, up to our next Acura SUV. This is probably my favorite one on the list. It's the 2015 MDX. It's not bad. It's just okay. It's okay. I sit as a third row. I like this one a lot on the list, just because the third row is so usable. On these small crossovers, usually the third row is so damn small you can't even fit anyone in there. This one's more reasonable, you know. Also, the seats are plushy, very, very nice. This is, of course, the 2015 MDX, which is their, like, larger SUV. Again, it's a little bit new for my taste, just for Acura in general. You can see it's not bad. It's more beefy on the outside. You know, the other one was a little bit more reedy. This one's a little bit more beefy. I don't like the back as much. It's still nice. Again, third row, that's great. You know, you can see it all the way back there. I wouldn't say it's as usable as something like a Highlander. It's definitely usable. This is more like an RX, you know. Again, very good interior. Very good, very nice, very decent. You know, everything's pretty good in here. Again, they've finally gotten rid of the fugly plastic. There is not a single trace. This is just normal plastic with a tiny bit of chrome on there. There's no annoying things, except for on the doors. You're never going to touch that. It's going to be fine. They also have wood trim, which I think fits beautifully. Like, I always thought dark, like chestnut wood, worked perfectly with tan leather interiors, and they proved that right? So definitely get this car. It's beautiful, it's perfect, and again, all-wheel drive, it'll get you through the snow. I see a lot of families on these. It's perfect, right? Because let's say you have like 2 kids or something, you're going to need a third row, no matter what you say. When you think about it, technically, yes, you don't need a third row, because everyone can fit in the car, but when it's a birthday party, and you need to take someone to the party, or you know, one of your kids is having a sleepover and you need to bring 2 kids over, you're going to need a third row, you know. Let's say your significant other, and then your 2 kids, and then 2 people else need to come along. The third row is always good to have. It doesn't decrease your gas mileage, it doesn't make the car any less efficient, and it folds perfectly flat. Just get a car with the third row if you're planning on having kids, you know. It's useful, you need it. It's just going to end up happening. So many scenarios happen where you need that third row. So, yeah. The next car that we're moving on to is the 2009 MDX. Now, this one's a little bit of it's not really an off-roader. You know, this is one thing that like older Toyotas, they get more weedy and better for off-roading the older the RAV4 gets. This one stays the same. It's still built bricky. You know, like for some reason, Hondas and Acuras are always built like this. They never really were built weedy. You know what I mean? Like, you could have, like, the thin, frail Toyotas. You know, like they look like they're under-nurtured. Like, nurtured. They look like they need more nutrition. You know, like the 2010 RAV4 or the 2010 Subaru Forester. Those thin, slight little, SUVs. These look like they're on growth hormones. Whoa, big, chunky, and they're built like a brick shit house on their feet, which means they're not really agile. I'm not complaining, they're not bad. The only thing I really don't like about this car is the wood. I mean, come on, how much damn wood do you need? Too much wood. I mean, wood is nice when it's an accent, not when it's the whole damn interior. You don't need that much wood. No one needs that much wood. It's not useful. Like Toyota, they wouldn't have done that. They would have put like a little, like, what they did there with like a shelf where you can put your sunglasses or something. Instead, Acura was like, people like wood. We're just going to shove a bunch of wood in there. Now we're officially getting to the not... Oh, wait. Did they have it? Do I not have that one? Wait. Sorry, everything was in reverse. My brain just conked out there. Anyway, this is the RDX. Remember, this is the older one. The older one is better, right? Not better. Each of them has their own advantages, right? The newer one is better for just being a daily driver. The older one is also luxurious. It's better because it's cheaper. And if you have a family, the seats are more plush, in my opinion. It also has a third row, which is great. I really like this one a lot. Yeah, zoom in on that low fuel. I don't like the wood, but it's still a decent interior. It's not like it's chromed plastic or something. Like, wood is a nice material, just because it has a lot of that. I think it looks tacky. It also looks nice. You know what I mean. Has a nice steering wheel with buttons in the weirdest locations, which people will never rest their fingers in. Classic Acura stuff. It's very hard to find one with the screen, just because they were, old and made 10 years ago. Like, 20 years ago. But... still a great system, still a great car. This would be great if you want to do off-roading, or, you know how durable your family needs to be. Like, if you have very, quiet kids, I would get the newer one. It's going to be fine. But if you have, the people that kick the seat, slam the doors, this one's just going to be better. Like I said, the older the car, the better it's built. This one is one of the brick shit house. It's actually, throw chairs into it, it'll be fine. Very durable, very reliable. These they never die. That's just what I've come to find out. Next car on this list is, personally, the best-looking Acura SUV ever. It looks so reasonable. Those wheels are great. They look like they're from a Nissan Altima from, 2007. It's just so great. So this is more if you want to do, off-roading. I would 100% choose this as an off-roader. It looks the most normal. Again, attractive in the backside. Very nice. I will say, the interior is trying to be like a Land Rover. Yeah, you see it, don't you? Yeah. Yeah, you're not fooling anyone. Yeah, they're totally trying to be a Land Rover here. Oh, yeah. So, again, the interior is trying to be a Land Rover, but the exterior all-wheel drive system is great. Overall, just an amazing, great car. You're not gonna... I don't believe you get a third row with this one. No, you don't. This is just a great car if you need to make it through snow. This car will do that. And again, if you're just looking to buy a daily driver, these are great. They're easy to drive. You get used to dual zone climate controls. Pure luxury. It's not just cheap Apple CarPlay. It's actually pretty decent. And you can always replace the head unit stereo, right? So I believe I've got a listing in reverse. That means, there we go. So this is a 2007 RDX technology. The technology just means it's nice for $7,000. I mean, for a daily driver, that's very nice. You can see, again, great approach and decline angles. Acura's always been really good about that with the RDX, especially the older ones. The older, the better, in my opinion. These very nice Acura wheels, in my opinion. This door feels like it looks weird and it feels weird. So when you're resting your arm there, you feel like your arm's slipping and falling down. It's just not nice to do that. They also have the crappy plastics there. It's not bad, it's just not great. Yeah, of course, you have your door bins down there. Actually, very big. You can fit a lot of crap in there. A little bit of storage. Praise them for that. Congratulations, Acura. They chose storage over putting wood there. Speakers there, door handle there. This is what I don't like about Acura. Everything has to be a shape. It has to be some sort of indentation shape. Very, very weird. I mean, it's not a bad door system. It just is weird how, you set something there and then it rolls off on the floor. Very, very weird. Now, the only thing... This, unfortunately, suffers from the same thing the second-generation Prius did, which is just terrible glove boxes. They were just awful. They rip. They're terrible. You definitely need to redo them if you buy this car. But that doesn't take away from how great it is. Again, plush, nice, luxury, leather back seats. Black leather back seats. Overall, just very nice car. Still ripping off Land Rover. Just overall, great. It's a daily driver. It has all-wheel drive. It can get you anywhere you need to go. And again, if you have a family, this thing, you kick this thing, it kicks you back. You know, old Acuras were very, very reliable. They may look a little bit weird, but they're very, very reliable. And I don't think Acura's kicked off as far as Lexus has, just because, again, they're more sporty. And if you want to buy something more sporty, you know, newer cars are a little bit better at that. Also, I have to say, this design looks so weird on the outside, and when you open the when you open the hood, come on, don't you love Acura? That is the most weirdest way they could have done it. So instead of taking, oh, it's great. I'll get back to that in a minute. Of course, you have your slat back seats. You know, just a very nice car. So that you would expect there to be like a grate there, right? You know, like it's just a fake beak, right? And then it'll have a grill behind there, and it'll just vent into the engine. No, Acura said, hold my beer, we're doing it the weird way. And it's just so unnecessarily weird. Here, can I find it? There. Like, look, that vent carries all the way through. No grate, no nothing. It actually maintains that shape with the things all the way directly into the engine bay. That is so amazing. Like, a lot of people do these grill designs, these shitty grill designs, you know, like, the worst offender is GM. They'll have, like, a gigantic gaping grill, and then only an inch-by-inch square in, like, the left-right corner is the only part that actually passes through to the engine. Acura, come on, you gotta love them. They decide to do this shape, and they care you follow through. I can stick my hand through there directly into the engine bay. It's just so fun just to see a company finally be honest and finally make a grill that's not fake. You know, that's just so amazing to see. So, yeah, you want an off-roader, these are amazing, these are great, yada, 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 you get the point. The last one is the RL. Now, this is more their, like, luxury line. It's very nice. It looks a little bit like a Mercedes. This is, like, their competitive car. You know, their, like, flagship. It's not a bad car. I actually like it. Wow, it's pouring. Yeah, wow. It has nice wood in the interior. Overall, it's just very nice feels. It's a nice Acura. The steering wheel, I'm sorry, Acura, you know how Toyota uses the same steering wheel? I'm going to make a video on the steering wheels of Toyota. Uses the same steering wheel for like 10 years, and then they change it, and it's always great ergonomic steering wheels. This looks so manly. Like, this looks like it should be on, like, a truck. Like the Acura version of the whatever thing truck they have. And yet it's on this, like, luxury sedan. Like, I know the Phaeton, the Volkswagen Phaeton, totally needed to do a video on that. Had this, too. It's so weird, you know? Just so weird. So, these are great for gas mileage. Again, these are just bigger. If you are going to buy a sedan and not a wagon, the bigger the sedan, the better. Number one, because, again, it's more heavier in a car accident. Number two, you just get more space. And also, you know, the money that you're saving from this car, you can afford to spend on gas, right? There we go. So I'm trying to find my tabs are all jumbled up. So yeah, we can see it here. Just overall a very nice car. This is surprisingly weedy. I mean, you saw the TL. This is like the only car that survived the thick era. You can see this is still incredibly weedy. It's not as chunky as the TL. You know, the RL is just very, very nice car. You know, easy to step into, easy to step out of. That manly Dan steering wheel. It's just so laughable in this car. And then they have like this. This was like one of the first times you've seen the dual, you know, screen approach from them. And also, I hope you like buttons because you have so many of them. Just overall a very nice car. It's luxury. It's nice. It's beautiful. It'll last forever. You know, these Acuras are just as reliable as Hondas most of the time when they don't go overboard with the luxury. Again, I will say this is way too... This looks like a grab handle on like a Pilot or something. You know? Not what I would expect. Also, the door bins pull out. Very nice. Buttons down there for your seat. Just a very nice car, you know? So, with that, thank you for watching. Don't forget to comment, like, up. With all of my videos where I recommend cars to you, I have to choose a car. So I'm eliminating the TL. I don't like sedans. The RDX I'm eliminating just because, I mean, I like it, but I would not buy an SUV from Acura. I'd just buy a Toyota SUV for that. The RDX, the third row is compelling, but no. The RL, no. These are all no. It's obviously the sports wagon. I'm sorry. I like wagons. I'm a wagon man. I love wagons. I would totally buy this thing. It's great. This is the front wheel drive. Is this the front wheel drive or rear wheel drive? Front wheel drive. There we go. I was going to say. It's not the all wheel drive version, is it? So, yeah. With that, thank you for watching. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. And I had a hoot.